Hello, and welcome to another exciting episode of High Voltage. I am your host. I'm Mackenzie Nelson, and I am so excited that you are here to listen, hopefully, gain some new insights from my lived experience to help you stay fully charged, fully engaged, ready and waiting with your yes, open to the power that is the present moment. Guys, I want you to get excited about your life. You get one and you're living it now. So, what can we do to amp up the volume in your life to where you feel ready, excited to live your life, not just for the weekends, but every single day? What are some things as I speak that out now that are running through your mind? Maybe some areas where you feel, what am I doing here? Why? Why am I in the current role that I am in the position I am in life? Why am I here? Am I in the role that I'm in now because this is a role that is suited to help me live out my destiny and it fulfills me and I feel purposeful, useful, and valuable in my role? Or are you currently in a position where everyone just told you, you're good at this? And so that's just what you went into in life. And maybe you have never really felt passionate, excitement. All of these things can be yours when you are aligned, connected to, and in tune with your purpose, with your destiny, guys. These are not just concepts for Star Wars, for Game of Thrones, for all of these amazing television shows that we gobble them up. And I really think they're great shows. But a lot of the reason why we are, hanging on every word and so tuned and plugged into these shows is that underlying foundation of truth that is applicable to each and every one of our lives. We innately were born and we know that we were meant to live a life of fulfillment. Just some things to think about now. Write down those areas that you're thinking, maybe this job that I'm in every day, I'm not really a fan. I go to work, it's okay. But most of the time in my mind, I'm counting down the minutes until I'm out that door. I speak this to you because I have been in many, many 9 to 5 roles, staring out the window of my cubicle, wondering, if? What if? What if I changed it all up? And this is where I am now. Thanks to all of your support, I have an exciting announcement. Maybe you've noticed in the background the new addition to the set. It is in print form. Oh. My Father's Feathers. You guys, check out the link to where you can go now. It is in soft copy and hard copy on Amazon right now, available for purchase. Look at this beautiful RHG Media. A shout out to you for just really nailing the overall cover. And it's so cool to show you guys how this feather that spoke to me hanging on my wall during my chronic pain journey and really propelled me into my purpose, my destiny, into writing, into speaking, into rolling out programs to help other people connect with their source and find out who they are. It all started with a feather. And there is that feather. And then it's also incorporated. I love they did a beautiful job in each chapter adding the feather in and incorporating it into the design. So check out the video that I posted earlier in the week if you want to see my reaction to when the boxes of my author's copies showed up into the house. What a moment. What a moment. There's really just something unique that came together for me holding this book in my hand for the first time. So it's still out there for sale. It's going to be rolling out in brick and mortar stores like Barnes and Noble coming up later this week. I'm just so happy. Thank you guys. Today, moving along, the topic I wanted to speak to you about is disappointments and moving forward. right? Like, what do we do? When things do not match up to the expectation, when life doesn't deliver, right? We're expecting something and then life delivers something that was far less than what we were expecting. What do you do? How do you move forward when life pummels you, so to speak? For me, the best example I can give about this is pretty much every time we go on a family vacation. And moms, dads, you know what I'm talking about. You see the picture on the beach, right? Crack open that Corona, sitting there listening as the waves subtly crash in the background, and the sun and the beach and the sand and everything, the music, the beach vibes is just perfect, right? And this is all in your head as you're planning your trip, all perfect weather, all these things. And then it's time for the trip. It's time to go on that beach vacation with your whole family, which is me, my husband, my son Lincoln, who's 11, and my little girl Nevada is 5. So we board a plane, we fly to Florida, and it is not relaxing. It's like, oh my gosh, we have to reapply the sunblock every hour, every 2 hours. Somebody, is hungry now, and we all just got out to the beach. We don't have food. Now there's always, if you know what I'm talking about, like it's anything but relaxing when you go on a big family vacation and are expecting like peace and serenity. But what do? I know it's going to be like that, but every time I plan a new trip, a new family trip, for some reason, I go back to that default, to that reset, to that picturesque vacation. And I do believe it's because society trains us to think about things, our expectations are through the roof. When you look at media, when you look at commercials, when you look at the perfect body type portrayed in media, we are groomed to have these outrageous expectations of life experiences in our lives. And so when things are real and not that beautiful, finished, polished, shimmered image that we had in mind, it's hard. We're like, where is the disconnect? What happened there? And now that, I'm met with the reality of a situation or the circumstances, how am I going to enjoy this? It's a great question. And it's things that have happened to me time and time again. Maybe you're up for a job promotion and you get denied, and you've really, really been thinking this was the path for you. I had a friend, some time back who was up for a big promotion, and he was, not understanding. He didn't get the promotion the first time around. And he was very disappointed. And I could tell he felt like, just throwing in the towel. Well, we prayed, and I felt encouraged to tell him, I feel like if you just keep trying one more time, persevere, try one more time. If you really feel this is the path you are led on, don't give up, don't quit. If you know in your heart and you feel that pull and you feel this is something for you, don't give up. Try again. And he did, and he got the promotion. He tried one more time. And now he's on a completely different journey. And I'm so excited for him and his wife. Guys, this is the point that I want to make about disappointments. I believe everything happens for a reason. And I don't say this lightly. I know there are some circumstances in life and disappointments that are so crushing that it feels like you don't have enough strength to get out of bed the next day. You're that crushed. This is a time in your disappointment, in your heartache, where you're angry, you feel let down, maybe for the millionth time, to turn to God or to the universe, whoever you speak with, and talk to them and tell him. I tell God, I tell Jesus how I feel. He is a real, intimate God to me, and he cares deeply so much about every single detail of our lives. The Bible tells us he even knows, how many hairs are on our heads. He's a very detail oriented, specific, caring God. To the nth degree that we could even imagine how much he cares about every single aspect of our lives. Tell him about it. Pour your heart out. Seek his wisdom. Ask for advice. Ask to speak to you. Ask, give me some messages. And if you can't hear his voice, you can hear him speaking to you in other ways if you are willing to be open. I'm talking about you hear that song playing and maybe something, I know this has happened to you where something really stands out about that song. Maybe you've heard it a million times, but this time's a little different. Pay attention to that. That's him speaking to you through the song, and notice patterns where you're hearing a lot of people bringing up a similar subject or a topic. These things happen. And if you can notice them and be open to them and watching this pattern and compiling all this information, you can take it and you can bring it to him and ask, like, okay, truly been disappointed here. I'm out of alignment with my purpose because this door closed, right? I didn't get the job promotion. Is it that you don't have this job for me, or is it a timing issue? Timing is everything. It could be he has that job for you, but just not right now, just not this way, or not in this location. Or he has you doing something completely different, knowing you will be more fulfilled in a different line of work. Everything happens in perfect coordination with a bigger plan that is at play with your life. And depending on you and how you are communicating and open to where God is leading you in your journey, he's always going to lead you to a place where you can help people, where you will be best served to help others. And that is the beauty in disappointments. Oftentimes, he leads us to these places not in a comfort zone type of way. My journey has been one of many disappointments. When I heard the Lord calling me to go to work at a plumbing company, for example, pre-pandemic, a few months before the pandemic occurred, when I hadn't worked in years and I had a little girl at home, I wasn't looking to go back to work, but I could feel this call. I felt propelled and rustled out of my comfort zone of staying home. I didn't want to stay home. I was suddenly feeling like, oh, it's time to go back to work. God led me to a plumbing company, and I had no idea why I was working for this plumbing company, but I knew he was calling me there. And I assumed because he was calling me there and I knew he had it for me, that it was going to be somewhat representative of this manifestation of this bigger life calling for me. But I assigned that specifically to my role as a secretary at the plumbing company. In my mind, since God had led me here and I knew it was for me, it meant this, was something he had for me, I assumed, for a long time. And I would be fulfilled in this role because God only sends us, good things. That for me was my mindset when I walked into this job. And it was nothing like it. It was hard. I was, harassed at this job. I was mistreated. I, was around a bunch of men. I was the only female. I was disappointed. I came home nightly and I cried. I didn't understand, why am I at this job? We were restaurant owners. We still are, right before the pandemic hit. And really what ended up happening was I stuck it out for a few months, and it was me battling it out with God on a nightly basis about going back to this place to work. That is how awful it was in this environment. And when I finally did put my notice in, I was so confused. I was like, why did that happen? What was the purpose in it? I was still feeling disappointed. I knew I felt called there. It wasn't until I filed for unemployment right before the pandemic hit. And as restaurant owners, we could only do carry out, that I really understood the purpose and the point of why God had sent me to the plumbing company. It provided for us at a time when otherwise we would have really been struggling. And God knew that. He saw it coming, and he sent me to work for the first time in years. Right before it hit, the duration was long enough to where I got the unemployment benefits. And thanks to that, we prospered at a time where we could have been financially devastated. And I give him all the praise and all the glory. But during that time, I was disappointed. I was struggling. I didn't get it. I didn't understand. But now I know that God has things for us sometimes that might look like disappointment. But hang in there. There is purpose in it. If you're really plugged in, you're really listening, you're having that dialogue with him, you're looking for confirmations, you're trusting the path he has you on, and you know what it feels like to be in alignment with the will of God over your life, which will be coming up on another podcast episode. So, how do you move forward when things are so crushing and so disappointing? You position yourself in a place of prosperity. Prosperity, guys. A place of abundance. A place of knowing who you are. You are loved. You're worthy. You're known. And I'm always going to bring you back to that. That's who you are. It's all wins. Everywhere you look, when you position yourself in a place of abundance, I have enough. I know God, he is enough. And he will work this out for me. You know, he provides for the birds. He cares so much about everything. He cares so much for you. He will come through for you. If you are trusting, waiting, patient, you will see him show up in your life. And I tell you what, that really for me helps me to move forward, knowing, I don't have to live a life of subtraction where I'm always feeling taken from. I can position myself in a place of knowing, counting my blessings, counting, I'm healthy. My kids are healthy, being grateful for the little things in life. Miracles are all around us if we're only open and willing to see, like, what are the odds, that even you're alive and on the earth at the same time as me and watching this podcast, and that I actually am hosting a podcast now. To me, that's a miracle. It's all in your perspective. So you're always going to have more than when you can position yourself in a place of gratitude, even though that's the struggle, right? Love is war. Abundance is love, right? It's a love mentality. And you have to war with that against disappointments. And you have to understand that sometimes you are going to be disappointed, and it's a part of the plan to help train you for when you do step into your purpose and where you're going to be. And even in your purpose, when you're in alignment with that, disappointments happen. But in a lot of times I can look back in my life and see where I was disappointed, like at the plumbing company, it was for a reason. And I keep that in mind. And I look back at my past experiences where I have experienced disappointments, and I see where God showed up. And the longer I walk with him, trust him, know him, the more of those experiences I have. And it builds my faith, my trust in God. So while I don't have all the answers, and I don't know why things happen the way they do, I know the one who does. And I trust that he is good and he is for me. And so ultimately, everything is working for me and for my benefit in accordance with his plan. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found this episode helpful. Subscribe. And if you want to know a little more about my experience at the plumbing company or what happened leading up to it, this is available. Go buy it. You will be happy you did. Guys, have a great weekend. And thanks again. I'll catch you next week.